Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. And today what we're doing is taking a look at the new FineWoven case for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I did actually order every single case for the 15 Pro Max. This is the first one that's actually come through, so I didn't order these initially. First I wasn't actually sure whether I was going to actually go for these, because I have always loved the leather cases since the first time I actually purchased one of those. But I figured, seeing as obviously this is something new and it looks like something that they're going to be using going forward, and they've also brought it in for both the iPhone as well as the Apple Watch, I figured I may as well give it a try, see how it actually feels, how it is to use. And also I've got a very interesting comparison coming through, something that I've done in previous years, where I actually compare the genuine Apple products to AliExpress clones, basically. So all of the replica sort of cases that you can actually get. With these not being leather anymore, I figure that the clones will actually get a lot closer. So we'll wait and see how they actually perform once they're actually on the phone. So the packaging is pretty much similar to what we had last year. So just a simple image on the front, and on the back it just gives you a little bit of basic information in terms of what's inside. Now, one thing to be aware of, if you do want to actually keep the packaging, you need to be very careful how you actually pull on this tab. On the old cases, this used to actually be plastic. Since they've replaced it with card, if you tug on the end here, it will tear. So when you're taking the case out, you need to make sure that you're holding on this section here, and you should be able to reuse the case, the actual box thereafter. So if you just give it a gentle tug, I'll do it this way so then I can see what I'm doing. There we go. So once you open it up, this is what we're presented with. Okay, so first impressions, as you can see the case there, so it does have a texture. I believe I've had a very similar case in the past. I don't think it was for any of the recent phones, but I have had a similar case where it's got this sort of cloth finish on the back in the past. The inside is, as people have mentioned, the inside felt is different, so you don't have the suede Alcantara material on there anymore. So it's basically just a sort of replica of the outside. Now, initially when they actually announced this, I figured it was going to be something similar to flocking, which is a technique that car mod industry used to use, where they apply a fiber and it's basically glued on, and it gives it the effect of Alcantara or suede. This is not like that. This is much finer. So let me see if I can try and get a good picture of how fine this is. This is not as, it's not like you've got actual fiber sticking up. This is almost completely flush, and it's literally just the feeling, the actual texture of the whatever material they've used that is actually giving that pattern, the grain, and obviously the sound as well. In terms of durability, I have seen some people unbox these and straight away they've actually got scratches on them. So durability wise, I don't think these are going to be the best. If you're not that bothered about the odd scratches on your case, and you do what I do, where I tend to have quite a few different colors and then I rotate between them, then I don't think it'll be too big of an issue. Price wise, I don't think these are actually worth the money, bearing in mind that this is a replacement for the leather cases. And I will have one of the partners I work with, Andor, I will have some of their cases hopefully coming through, so then I can do a comparison for those who are still interested in leather cases. But in terms of durability, that's where leather becomes worth it. If we take a look at my Andor case, this is used at work, and as you can see, it's got loads of marks and everything on it. But if I wanted to, I could just use a wax and basically cover all of this up. I've intentionally tried to patina this as much as possible, and this is probably quite extreme for 1 year because of how many times I've actually sort of sanded this down and polished it back up again. But with this, the idea is obviously you're going to want to try and keep this in as good condition as possible, and I'm not 100% sure whether that would be possible in the same way as you can with leather. With Apple cases, you generally don't have to worry about that. Because generally they're not designed for super drop protection, but they're good enough to where if you do have the odd mishap and it just drops out your pocket or something, you won't have no damage. In terms of the buttons, so you do have a single button for the volume rocker. So let me see if I can try and get this on camera. So just there, that whole section is both the volume up and volume down, and then the action button is just on its own, and then the power button is also just on its own. The power button seems to me to have better motion than the volume buttons will actually have. And I think the action button would probably be the best, simply because it's the smallest, and it means that when you're pressing it, you're actually pressing the whole button as opposed to pressing one side of it. I did see somebody say that the camera lip was actually slightly rubberized. It's not the case. So maybe on the silicone cases it might still be like that, but on this case it is actually a hard plastic. Yeah, so overall, in terms of the shape, it's almost identical. So I don't think going off this, you can really tell too much about what the shape of the new iPhone is going to be. Most leather cases tend to always give on the corners anyway, so you tend to wear them down a bit, so they tend to become a bit softer. Having both of these in hand, it does almost feel smaller. So it does feel like the footprint of the phone, whether it's actually smaller, whether it's just feels more comfortable, it feels like it is going to be slightly different. So that's the first look at the new FineWoven case. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. I will of course have the iPhone 15 Pro Max as well as the Apple Watch Ultra 2 coming. They should be here Friday, so hopefully I'm going to try and get that video out as soon as possible straight after. Same thing, if you have any questions on those, drop them down in the comment section. I will be doing a comparison on the camera. With that, I do have a couple of lenses. So I have a 24-70, I have this one which is a 24mm f1.4, and I have a brand new Tamron 35-150 lens that I can actually compare them to. So I can do direct comparisons, glass versus glass, in terms of 120mm versus 120mm, and we can kind of see whether or not what Apple has done does actually make sense, whether it works, and if it's worth upgrading solely for that camera. I will also be comparing it against my 14 Pro Max. So if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I'd really appreciate if you could give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. And until the next one, thanks very much for watching.